Today, we are going to cancel myself because I'm starting to get a little popular, so might as well cancel myself before someone comes out and does it for me. Welcome to the Spit It Out podcast. This is where we ask the hard questions about life, dentistry, and healthcare. I'm Meg, a registered dental hygienist who loves to brush, floss, and spit out the truth. I got sent to the principal's office when I was in first grade because I was in the bathroom with my girlfriends and we were all screaming about how hot Troy Bolton is. And there was a classroom right next to us, which is not great. I still remember getting sent up for the first time with my friend and we were walking up and I pretty much pled the fifth. Like, I remember I was so nervous. The principal was like asking me questions and I just kind of sat there and I pretended like I didn't know what he was talking about. Honestly, 8-year-old Megan was ready for court. I was ready to plead the fifth. I was ready to go, don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. You're gonna have to ask some witnesses. I remember the principal kind of leaned over and he was like, "You see that book right there?" And I turned and looked back and he was like, "That's the book full of rules for this school. You need to follow those rules." And I was so scared, but I was just like, okay. And then he sent me back. And then I got in big trouble at home, of course. I got in crazy trouble. My mom did not let me hear the last of that. Another thing that happened in elementary school is I threw away my homework because I didn't want to do it. And honestly, I thought this was really smart because I threw away my homework. I only missed one 15-minute recess break for not doing my homework. So why wouldn't I? I remember I'd literally get my homework and then I just walk outside the classroom and throw it in the recycle. I got so much detention, it was insane, but I really didn't care. I was like, I'd rather sit here and read a book and just not do my homework. It was kind of a good deal. And then I realized that not doing your homework means you don't get good grades. Never occurred to me. I'm like, who cares? Why would I care about that? So I don't know if I told someone or someone said something to me, but I do remember eventually stopping that. I did stop that eventually. Okay, so in middle school, we're talking 2012 to 2015 here, okay? I wanted to be a hipster so bad. You guys, I wanted to be a hipster more than anything. I got the fake nerd glasses from Hot Topic. But the thing was, I was a little too young to be a hipster. You understand? The hipsters were in their 20s, graduating college, in college, they were a little older than me. So I didn't really make it, but I wanted to be one so bad. I had suspenders, I had the whole Tumblr hipster look, and I was really upset that I couldn't fulfill my hipster potential. I was really, really upset about that. Another thing I used to do in middle school was I used to cosplay. So I used to dress up as anime characters and Disney characters and go to conventions dressed up as these characters. And you might find that odd, but honestly, it was my way of expressing creativity. It was really fun. I used to thrift costumes and stuff, but I don't know. Some people might think that's super weird, but I was I think they called it an otaku or a dweeb back then. I think they still call it that, but I was a total geek. I would watch anime all summer. I would study up on the anime, so when I went to the conventions, I knew who everyone was, And oh man, all I wanted was to be part of those compilation videos so bad. I just wanted someone to recognize the character that I was from this niche anime. Basically, I went to Anime Con, I think in 2013. I was 12, and I dressed up as Saki from Eden of the East. No one knew who I was, and it was really sad. I also dressed up as Misa from Death Note. That one was pretty cool. I feel like everyone dressed up as her back then. But here's the weird part. Okay, here's another thing I'll cancel myself for. I remember, this is so cringy and literally so embarrassing, and whoever's out there that I did this to, I'm so sorry. But dude, I was probably 13, 12 years old. No excuse. Anyway, this is still weird. I walked up to this person who was also dressed up as Misa from Death Note, and I was like, oh my gosh, Misa. And I gave her a freaking hug. This random girl. She was probably a teenager, but she looked mortified. And honestly, I don't blame her because I probably would have done the same thing. I mean, even if she was older, probably thought I was a weirdo. And I was. That was so weird. Why would I do that? So weird. So weird. I also dressed up as Orin High School Host Club, one of the guys. I forgot his name, the main blonde boy. That was really popular. I went to a really small anime convention. All the girls wanted to take a picture of me. That was pretty cool. And then I don't remember my other ones that were really like memorable. I did do a bunch of Vocaloid little cosplay things here and there. Those were really popular back then. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, you missed out on one of the most iconic internet Japanese vocals of the time. I suggest you take it back 10 years, sit your butt down and listen to some Vocaloid music. Okay, let's take it back for a second. All right. So, a Vocaloid was like back in the days AI. That doesn't make any sense. It's not really AI, but like the voice sounded like a computer singing. Okay. This is what the Vocaloids look like. This is Hatsune Miku. She was really popular. My favorite was this girl named Luca Megurine. She was my freaking favorite. So my favorite song back in the day was Luca Luca Night Fever. This freaking song. And I knew this whole dance, guys. They used to dance too. But look, can you see her dancing? I used to do the whole dance. I need to stop because my muscle memory is actually coming back like really strong. I still remember that dance. I also knew, and I probably still have some muscle memory for Haruhi Suzumiya. She had an opening dance to her anime, and I knew that whole thing, of course. Of course I did. Okay, moving on from anime because I could talk about that for a whole hour. So here's my first OG start with YouTube. I used to make, edit, produce, and act with my friends in Barbie videos on YouTube, and they are still on YouTube. And I will never tell you what they're called, what the YouTube channel is called. You know, if you could ever find that and dig it up, I think that'd be really cool. But basically, I learned that I really like to make videos and edit videos back in the day. I used to film them with my friends. We would do voiceovers and add music, and I would stitch it all together. I'd post it on YouTube, and it was just like the dumbest things, but honestly, it was like my favorite thing ever. I loved doing that. And I realized, yeah, like I love filming and editing and just creating magic online. I didn't know it yet, but that would slowly turn into creating vlogs and YouTube and TikToks and Instagram and all that stuff. So that was my first OG. And it was like, I still watch them sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, so cringe, but also some of them were actually pretty funny. I think they were pretty funny. Okay, I have to confess, I did not wear my rubber bands much when I had braces. Somehow, my teeth still moved. Although, right here, this tooth, number 7, still makes me mad. It's lingual verted a little bit. Don't like it. And I knew as soon as they took my braces off that there was something wrong, but they gaslit me. Whatever, I have a little beef with them. You know who you are. I think you should fix my tooth for me. Just saying. But yeah, I didn't really wear my rubber bands. I also like never flossed with braces. I remember when I got my braces off, my gums were so puffy. Like I remember they gave me the impression with the little Essex retainer. Oh my God, guys, like I don't have it anymore. I wish I could show you, but the OG one I had, the gums like were like you could see it. You know what I mean? Like it was so puffy you could see it. It was disgusting. And then eventually they calmed down after I got my braces off. But oh my gosh, I remember like noticing after a while, I was like, man, my gums don't like fill this up anymore. It was so crazy. I wish I had like some platypus flossers back then. Like, how come no one gave me those? My orthodontist never talked about them. But at the same time, maybe they never existed. I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. Also did not floss consistently until hygiene school. I have to admit, I really didn't. I remember my first summer in hygiene school before senior year, I gave myself gingivitis because I wasn't flossing, but I recognized that I had gingivitis the first time in my life. Like I consciously was like, yeah, this isn't good. And so then I started flossing. But yeah, I definitely did not floss much at all. I really didn't. I also didn't have an electric toothbrush until hygiene school. My mother bought me one. She was like, how do you not have an electric toothbrush? You're in dental hygiene school. And I was like, I have no idea. So she bought me a Sonicare, which was really cute. And now I have like too many toothbrushes and too much toothpaste and way too much floss, which is not a bad problem. It's really not. But I've become quite picky when it comes to toothbrushes and toothpaste and floss now. I'm kind of a snob. I am very much a snob. At 16, I was a snitch. I was a snitch when I was a teenager. Just one time, okay? Basically, here's the tea. I was not a very good girl for a little while. I was around a lot of people who were not good influences. We were not good influences on each other, basically. And I decided to steal a little bit of makeup from a makeup store. And I kind of was doing this for a few months. It was not great. I'm not proud of it. Wouldn't recommend doing that. It's not a good idea. And a lot of the times it was samples from makeup stores. And that's also like really gross looking back at it. Like, why would I do that? Anyway, no idea. And then I'd also like try to steal like actual stuff. And it was really embarrassing. And I wouldn't recommend doing that. It was so stupid. But anyway, I got caught one time at one of these makeup stores and it was horrible. It was like one of the worst days of my teenage life because it was terrifying, you know. They like totally realized I was stealing and I was dumb enough to think I could get away with it. Anyway, it was really not good. My dad was very upset at me, and rightfully so. After I got caught for stealing, I snitched on someone else who was also stealing in my like friend group to my parents. And did this person, need to kind of be humbled? Yeah, probably. Should I have snitched? I don't know. They held this over my head probably to this day, and it's been 10 years. I remember after this person like, oh, it's okay. I'm not mad at you for snitching. And then they changed their mind a few months later. They were like, you have no idea why I needed to steal. You don't even know why theft had to be in my life. And I was just like, dude, this one's a little embarrassing too, but I figured I'd cancel myself for subtweeting my ex-boyfriend in ninth grade. That was kind of embarrassing. I was dumb enough to think that no one really cared about my Twitter and no one actually read my tweets back in ninth and 10th grade. I guess I was going to 10th grade at this point. So I decided to like subtweet all the time. I was also going through a lot, not gonna lie. Like I had a lot going on at home. Like it's not an excuse for subtweeting, but just to get into my head at the time, it was not a good time in my life. And so I decided to like take out my frustration on this person online, and I continued to subtweet people for like a year after this. I couldn't learn my lesson for some reason. Literally couldn't tell you why. Like I should have learned my lesson the first time. Don't know why I didn't. Literally have no idea why. Have no idea why. But yeah, I used to subtweet people in high school and it was really embarrassing. Would not recommend that to anybody. It's really stupid. And I would like, I'm not gonna lie, I think back in high school, we all kind of subtweeted each other. Like there was other people who subtweeted me and no one cared. But like I should have just learned my lesson the first time. I'll just say that. Sometimes I jaywalk. I guess that's illegal too. Yeah, that's not good. I'm trying to think of anything else I'm willing to share to cancel myself. There's some things I'm obviously not going to share. I'm not a perfect person, but I definitely am not everyone's hero in this world. And I'm happy to admit that. I have not been nice sometimes in my life. I feel like there are some moments in my life that I could have been the bigger person and I wasn't. I'll admit it. I'm one of those people in life that like if I do something, I'm going to take responsibility for it. I might get nervous at first, but I always recognize where I go wrong. I try to at least. I can't say that every single time I've been wrong, I've known that I was wrong, but looking back at my life, I've made mistakes, of course, and hasn't everyone made mistakes? And I can't say that I've regretted every single mistake that I've made because I do think deep down that every decision takes you to where you need to be in life and where you're destined to be. And honestly, with some of the mistakes I've made that I'm not sharing, I just feel like I've learned from them and I've moved on. Everyone makes mistakes, as Hannah Montana says. And I don't ever think I'm going to get canceled. This was just kind of like a funny play on a TikTok I saw. But I always just think you should always take responsibility for your mistakes or things you're not really proud of in life, because trying to push things off and pretend like you didn't do something, maybe pretend like you didn't hurt someone or cause an issue is ridiculous. Like especially if someone comes up to you after an incident happens and goes, hey, like this happened, I want to talk to you about it, or just clear something up, and you ignore the problem. It's like, what's that going to solve? It's just going to create resentment. I've had that happen too, where, other people do weird stuff to me and they never take accountability for it or apologize, or they just ignore me and like pretend it didn't happen. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll be the bigger person. But you can always look back on the other side, and I could have been the bigger person for different situations as well. So at the end of the day, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. You know what I mean? Okay. Enough of me being cringe. My 12-year-old self, I think, would be rolling, dying right now because I'm exposing her, truthfully. But I love you guys, and I hope you have a good day. And if you relate to anything that I said today, please let me know. If you're a total dork like me, I would freaking love to know. And I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.